Hi, I'm Chico Garcia, representing SM Cinema from the Philippines.
Hi, Chico. How are you?
So, for my first question, in reimagining an iconic comic book story, what was your strategy in terms of juggling, staying faithful to the source material, but at the same time exercising your creative prerogative?
Absolutely. I mean, look, I'm a huge comic book collector. I have been since I was a kid, and these stories are very important to me. But we are working in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So the story that's being told is not necessarily the story that was told in the comic books, because what's happening on the movie side is very different than what happened on the publishing side. So it's our job to take the idea of Civil War and apply it to what's happening here in this universe and this kind of storytelling.
I'm glad you brought up, the difference between the two. We're so curious about how it works. There's the MCU and then there's the comic book world. How does it work? Like, do the movie people sit down with the comic people and you tell each other what your plans are, or are you completely independent of each other?
They're pretty independent of each other, but certainly the movie side does draw a lot of influence from the comic side. And then the comic side, now there's Civil War II has been published by Marvel on the comic book side, which obviously is in conjunction with the release of the film. So I think there's a lot of synergy between the two worlds.
And outside of the comic books that will be in the pipeline to be made into the movies, as a comic book fan, what were the stuff from like your favorites that you would love to see, you would love to make as a movie interpreted?
Well, I'll be honest with you. My biggest dream came true is that I had the opportunity to work with Spider-Man.
Right.
That was my favorite character growing up. I love that character. One of the first books I ever bought was a Spider-Man book. So I'm really happy to have had the opportunity to interpret that character.
And being the director, you're like in charge of everybody, and obviously you have a vision for the characters. But I'm pretty sure you have actors who also have they inhabit the characters.
That's right.
And I'm sure they have their own vision. Has it ever happened that you disagreed on the direction of where the character should go?
Funny enough, not yet. It hasn't happened yet. We're very respectful of the actors because they've been playing these characters for many years.
Right.
And they'll know them better than we'll ever know them because they inhabit them for many hours a day for many months every time that they portray them. So we work hand in hand with the actors to come up with the interpretation for the character.
All right, so for my final question, being a comic book fanboy, and I am one too, I'm just curious, how do you handle overzealous fanboys? I mean, we all know that each fanboy knows better than everybody else as to it shouldn't be like this, it should be like this. So how do you handle all the fanboys?
I love them. I appreciate them so much. I think, look, they've invested so much time and energy and emotion into these stories on the comic side and on the movie side. So it's fantastic. I love the passion that the Marvel fans have. It's the greatest part of the job, is really sharing these movies with the audience. At the same time, the fanboys don't speak with the same voice. They all want something different from the movies. And so at the end of the day, I just deal with my own internal metric for how I believe the content should be handled. And I make the story that I want to see and the story that I care about. And then I hope that everybody else enjoys it.
Super last question. How do you feel that, I read a lot of blogs and articles, and how do you feel that people consider, the question now is not if Civil War is good, it's more like, is it the best MCU movie ever made, as opposed to The Winter Soldier? I mean, most people consider the two Captain America movies as the two greatest. I mean, I'm sure you're very happy to hear that.
Very happy because, again, we're investing so much of ourselves into these movies, and we are very passionate about the characters ourselves. I love this storytelling. These are the kinds of movies that, when I was a boy, that left an incredible impression on me, and why I'm making movies today. And I'm hoping to pass that same feeling on to, children sitting in the cinema all over the world.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Great questions, by the way.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.